sit down and shut your mouth because the sun is going down, and the only reason you are still breathing is because I decided you might be worth more than a shallow hole in the salt flats. Tomorrow you will be out there alone, and the desert does not care about your name or your mother, or the fact that you still have soft hands. You start with the horse, and the horse is everything. If that beast fails you, then you are just a pile of meat waiting for the vultures to get brave. You look at the ground and you see more than dirt. You see a story that the law is trying to read. When you ride through the deep sand, you do not just trot along like you are headed to Sunday service. You move where the wind blows the hardest. You find the ridges where the dust swirls, and you let the breeze eat your path. If you leave a footprint, the wind will take it if you are smart enough to give it the chance. You stay off the main trails, and you find the hard rock where the hooves do not leave a mark. If you have to cross a soft patch, you drag a cedar branch behind you, but you do not just drag it straight. You weave it like a snake so it looks like the brush just shifted on its own. The lawmen who are coming for you are lazy men, but they are not blind. They look for the rhythm of a gallop. You break that rhythm. You walk, then you stop. Then you move sideways into the scrub. You treat your tracks like they are the blood from a wound you are trying to hide. Now you're going to get thirsty, and that is where most boys break. The ground is going to look like bone and feel like fire, but there is life under there if you know how to see it. You look for the birds, not the ones circling high, looking for death, but the little ones that stay low to the brush. They know where the moisture hides in the roots of the mesquite. You find a dry wash, and you look for the spot where the green is just a little darker than the rest. You dig with your hands until your fingernails bleed, and you wait for the seep. It will be muddy, and it will taste like the earth, but it will keep your heart beating. You do not drink it all at once, or your belly will turn, and you will lose it all to the sand. You sip it like it is the last bit of life in the world, because it is. And when you get hungry, you do not reach for that loud iron on your hip. A gun is a dinner bell for the hanging party. You learn to use a thin wire or a sharpened stick. You sit as still as a stone until a jackrabbit thinks you are part of the scenery. You do not move until you can feel its breath. You take it quick and you take it quiet. You do not let the blood soak into your clothes, because that smell stays with you and tells every wolf and every scout exactly where you are sleeping. You bury the guts deep, and you move a mile away before you even think about stopping for the night. The night is where the real fear lives, but you cannot let it in. You sleep in the dirt, but you do not sleep in a hollow where you can be trapped. You find a high spot with a big rock at your back, so nothing can crawl up behind you without making the gravel sing. You keep one eye on the stars and the other on the shadows. You do not tie your horse close. You hobble him far enough away that he can graze, but close enough that you can hear if his ears twitch. A horse hears a man coming long before a man does. If that horse stops chewing, you wake up with your steel in your hand. You do not build a fire like the ones in the stories. You dig a small pit and you use the driest wood you can find. You want a flame that is no bigger than your palm, and you want it to give off no smoke at all. You feed it one twig at a time, and you keep it low in the hole. When you are done, you don't just kick dirt on it. You replace the top layer of soil, so it looks like the ground was never touched. You learn to love the cold because the cold is quiet. A fire is a beacon, and a beacon is a death sentence. You are going to realize soon that one man is just a target, but 4 men are a problem. You need a crew, but you do not pick them because they are your friends. You pick them because they have something to lose and no way to get it back. The first man you look for is the desperate one. He is the man who has been kicked by the world until he has no skin left. He is the one sitting in the corner of the dark tent with a look in his eye that says he would burn the whole town down just to feel the heat. You look at his hands. If they are steady while he is starving, then he is the one who will hold the line when the bullets start flying. You do not want a man who talks about his glory days. You want the man who has forgotten his own name because the law made it a curse. You talk to him without looking him in the eyes at first. You tell him there is a way to get even, and you watch his jaw. If it sets hard like a trap you have your first man, he will be the one who does the dirty work because he does not believe he deserves anything else. The second man is the quiet one. He is the one who watches the door and never takes a drink until everyone else is half blind. He knows how to listen to the wind, and he knows how to wait. A man who can wait is a man who can kill without making a mistake. You find him by looking for the one who has the best horse but the worst clothes. He puts his money into his survival and not his vanity. You need him because he will be the eyes in the back of your head. He is the one who will notice when the dust on the horizon is too thick to be just the wind. You test him by leaving a bit of silver where he can find it. If he hands it back to you without a word, then he is your man. If he pockets it, you leave him for the wolves, because a thief who steals from his own is a snake that will bite you when you are sleeping. You need a man who understands that the group is the only thing keeping the noose off his neck. The third man you need is the one who used to be on the other side. He is the man who knows how the law thinks because he used to wear the tin. Maybe he got tired of the lies, or maybe he killed the wrong person. But he knows the way they scout, and he knows the way they ride. In a circle to trap a man, he is dangerous because he might still have a shred of conscience left, but you need his head. You look for him in the places where the fallen go to hide. He will be the one who knows the back trails and the names of the deputies who can be bought for a bottle of rye. You have to keep a shorter leash on him, but you listen when he tells you the way the wind is shifting. He will tell you when to run and when to stand your ground. Once you have these three, you have the start of an empire. But you have to be the one they fear more than the rope. You do not share your secrets, and you do not tell them where you keep your extra shells. You lead by being the first one in the saddle and the last one to close your eyes. You show them that the land is yours and they are just living on it because you allow it. You learn the way the brush changes when a man is hiding in it. The birds stop singing and the grass stays bent the wrong way. You learn to smell the rain before it hits the dust, and you learn to smell a man who has been riding hard. Sweat and leather have a scent that carries for a mile if the wind is right. You stay downwind of everything. You move like a ghost, and you think like a wolf. The land out here is not your friend. The sun will try to bake your brain, and the cactus will try to tear your legs to pieces. You use the thorns. You ride through the thickest patch of prickly pear you can find, because no lawman in a clean suit is going to follow you through that. You learn to stitch your own skin with a bone needle and a bit of horsehair. You do not complain, and you do not ask for help. If you fall off your horse, you get back up before the dust settles, or you stay down forever. There is no middle ground in the outlaw life. You are either the hammer or the anvil. Tomorrow you will wake up and the world will be different. You will look at a town and you will not see a place to rest. You will see a collection of safes and horses and men who want to put you in the ground. You will look at the horizon and you will not see beauty. You will see a getaway route or a trap. You keep your gun oiled with animal fat, and you keep your powder dry. You wrap your shells in a bit of waxed cloth so the mountain fog does not ruin them. A click when there should be a roar is the last sound you will ever hear. You watch the way the shadows grow long in the afternoon. That is when you do your moving. When the sun is in their eyes, they cannot see the glint of your bridle. You learn to use the light like a shield, and when you finally decide to take what is yours, you do not hesitate. Hesitation is for men who want to live long enough to grow gray hair. You are not one of those men anymore. You are a shadow in the brush and a whisper in the canyon. You are the start of something that will make the governors shake in their boots. You keep your first 3 men close, but you never let them get behind you. You give them enough to keep them hungry, but not enough to make them fat and lazy. A fat outlaw is a dead outlaw. You keep them moving. You change your camp every night for the first month until they forget what a bed feels like. You make them sleep in their boots. You make them eat their meat raw if a fire is too risky. You build their grit until they are as hard as the stones they are lying on. And you never trust a woman in a town you just robbed. She might have a pretty face and a kind word, but she has a brother or a father or a lover who wants the bounty on your head. You stay away from the lights, and you stay away from the music. Your music is the sound of the wind through the sagebrush and the steady breathing of your horse. If you can learn to love the silence, you will survive. If you crave the noise of the world, it will find you and it will kill you. The law is a machine that never sleeps, but it is a slow machine. It relies on papers and signatures and orders. You rely on your gut and your horse. You can move faster than a telegram if you know the shortcuts through the bad lands. You learn the hidden canyons where the water stays cool all year. You find the caves where the old ones used to live, and you make them your fortress. You cache your supplies in the hollows of dead trees, a bag of flour here and a box of shells there. You never keep all your eggs in one basket because the law might find one, but they won't find them all. You are building a kingdom of the damned, and you are the king. It starts with hiding your tracks in the sand, and it ends with the world knowing your name and fearing it. But for now, you are just a boy with soft hands and a scared heart. Forget the boy. Let the desert eat him. Tomorrow, the man wakes up, and the man is an outlaw. You listen to the way the coyotes howl. They are not just making noise. They are talking about the hunt. They are talking about the weak ones that won't make it through the night. Do not be one of the weak ones. Be the one that the coyotes are afraid of. Keep your head down and your eyes open. The stars are your only map, and the moon is your only lamp. You learn the constellations not because they are pretty, but because they tell you which way is north when you are turned around in a storm. You learn to read the moss on the north side of the trees and the way the shadows fall at noon. You never get lost, because if you get lost, you are dead. The desert does not have signs, and it does not have mercy. It only has the truth. And the truth is that only the hardest ones get to see the sunrise. You stay away from the mountain passes when the clouds look like bruised fruit. A flash flood will take you and your horse and wash you 10 miles down a canyon before you can even scream. You stay on the high ground when the sky turns dark. You learn to read the air. It gets heavy and it smells like wet tin right before the sky breaks open. You find a spot under a heavy ledge and you wait it out. You do not try to outrun a storm. You endure it. That is the secret to everything out here. You endure until the world gives up trying to kill you. When you walk into a store to buy your grain, you do not look at the floor and you do not look at the ceiling. You look at the man behind the counter and you see what he is hiding under the apron. You see the way his eyes go to the door. You see the way he counts his money. You learn to see the fear in people, and you use it. Fear is a tool just like a knife or a rope. If you can make a man afraid, you can make him do anything. But you never use it unless you have to. A man who is always afraid will eventually turn on you just to make the feeling stop. You are going to feel lonely, and you are going to want to go home. You do not have a home. The trail is your home, and the sky is your roof. You burn the letters from your sweetheart, and you forget the smell of your mother's cooking. Those things make you weak. They make you want to stay alive for the wrong reasons. You stay alive because you are too stubborn to die. You stay alive because you want to. See the look on the sheriff's face when you take his gold. You stay alive for the power and the freedom and the dirt under your nails. The horse you have is a bay, and he is a good animal, but he is not a god. He needs rest, and he needs salt. You find the salt licks in the dry hills, and you let him have his fill. You check his hooves every morning and every night. A stone in the frog is a broken leg, and a broken leg is a bullet in the head. You treat that horse better than you treat yourself. You talk to him in a low voice so he knows your scent and your sound. When the shooting starts, he needs to trust that you are the one who will get him through it. You are the ghost of the frontier now. You are the one they tell stories about to scare the children. But the stories are never the whole truth. The truth is much more boring and much more painful. It is days of heat and nights of shivering. It is the taste of alkaline water and the feel of sand in your teeth. It is the constant weight of the iron on your hip and the constant itch between your shoulder blades where you expect the bullet to land. But it is also the feeling of being the only truly free man in a world of slaves. You do not follow the river because the river is where the towns are. You follow the ridges that run alongside the river. You stay in the trees and you watch the smoke from the chimneys. You learn the habits of the people below. You know when the stagecoach comes, and you know when the gold shipment is light. You wait for the moment when they think they are safe. That is when you strike. You do not strike when they are ready. You strike when they are tired and bored and thinking about their dinner. Your first crew will look to you for the plan. You do not give them the whole plan. You give them just enough to do their job. If one of them gets caught, he can only tell what he knows, and if he knows nothing, he can tell nothing. You keep the destination in your own head until the horses are cinched up and ready to ride. You do not let them talk about the job in the camp. Talk leads to dreaming, and dreaming leads to mistakes. You keep their minds on the present, on the cold and the hunger and the horse. You see that star right there, the one that is pulsing like a heart. That is the one you follow if you get separated. We meet at the Twin Peaks 3 days after the job is done. If you are not there, we do not wait for you. We assume you are either dead or talking to the law, and either way, you are no use to us. You do not look back, and you do not try to find us. You head for the border, and you start over. But if you make it, you will have enough gold to buy a county. The world is changing, and they say the law is coming to stay. They say the fences are going up, and the open range is dying. Let it die. We will live in the spaces between the fences. We will be the thorn in the side of the new world. We will be the ones who remind them that the land is still wild, and so are we. You are the first brick in an empire that will stretch from the desert to the sea. But you have to survive tomorrow first. You listen to the way the fire crackles. That is the sound of life burning away. Every second you sit here, you are getting closer to the moment when you have to prove yourself. Don't waste your breath on questions. Just listen. Hide your tracks. Find your water. Kill your meat. Sleep with one eye open. Pick your men. And never ever let them see you bleed. The desert is watching, and it is waiting to see what you are made of. Show it that you are made of the same iron as your gun. Show it that you are harder than the heat and colder than the night. Now get some sleep. Tie your bootlaces tight and put your hat over your face. The wind is picking up, and it will be a long ride before the sun comes up. Don't dream of anything but the trail. The trail is the only thing that is real. The rest is just smoke and mirrors and lies. You are an outlaw now, and the only empire you have is the one you carry in your heart and the one you build with your hands. Make it a big one, boy. Make it one they will never forget. Tomorrow the hunt begins. You are either the hunter or the prey. There is no third option. You remember everything I told you, and you might just see the sun go down again. You forget one thing, and you're just another skeleton in the scrub. The law is coming, but the desert is already here, and it was here first. It will be here long after we are gone. Try to stay long enough to leave a mark that the wind can't blow away. That is all a man can hope for. Now shut your eyes and be quiet. The night has ears, and it does not like the sound of a fool talking. You feel the ground under you. It is hard and it is cold, but it is solid. That is your bed. You get used to it. You get used to the way the grit feels in your hair and the way your muscles ache. That ache means you are still alive. When the ache goes away, that is when you should worry. Stay hungry, stay angry, and stay quiet. That is the outlaw way, and when you wake up, you do not stretch and you do not yawn. You reach for your steel and you check the horizon. You start the day ready to die, and that is the only way you will ever manage to live. The hills are full of ghosts of men who thought they were smarter than the land. They thought they could ride faster than the sun and talk their way out of a rope. They are all dust now. You learn from their bones. You see where they fell, and you go the other way. You see where they hid, and you find a better spot. You do not follow in anyone's footsteps. You make your own path, and you make sure it is a path that no one else can follow. That is how you build an empire, one step at a time, one track at a time, one man at a time. Now go to sleep. The fire is out, and the darkness is our only friend. Let it wrap around you like a blanket. Tomorrow we ride, and tomorrow we see if you are a man or just another ghost waiting to happen. The desert is big enough for both, but I would rather have a man at my side than a ghost at my back. Don't disappoint me, boy. The price of disappointment is a long drop and a short sudden stop, and I don't have the time to bury you twice. So keep your mouth shut and your ears open and let the night take over. The sun will be up soon enough, and then the real work starts. The outlaw empire is waiting for its first king. You just have to be man enough to take the crown and hard enough to keep it. Sleep now. The sand is waiting. The wind is calling. And the law is riding hard. But we are faster and we are meaner, and we are still breathing. That is all that matters. That is the only truth there is in this God-forsaken land. You hear that the distant howl of a wolf. It is lonely, but it is strong. That is you. You are the lone wolf until you find your pack. And even then, you are still alone in your head. You never let anyone all the way in. You keep a corner of your soul for yourself. That is the only part of you that the law can never touch. Keep it safe, keep it dark, and keep it ready. The world is a cruel place, but it is our place. We take what we want, and we leave the rest for the scavengers. That is the way of the West, and that is the way of the outlaw. Good night, boy. If you wake up tomorrow, you are one of us. If you don't, you are just another part of the scenery. Either way, the sun will come up, and the desert will stay the same. It does not care, and neither do I. Only you can care about your own life. So hold on to it with everything you have. Hold on to it like a drowning man holds on to a log, and never let go until the very end. That is the only way to go out. With your boots on and your gun smoking, that is the only way an outlaw should ever die. Now be still. The stars are watching, and the moon is hiding. It is the perfect time to vanish, and vanishing is the best thing you can do. Be a ghost before you are a corpse. Be the shadow that moves when the light stays still. Be the wind that no one can catch. Be the outlaw empire. It starts now. It starts with this breath and this moment and this dirt. Don't waste it. Don't ever waste it. The silence is heavy now, but you have to get used to it. The silence is your shield. When you are quiet, you can hear the world moving around you. You can hear the snake sliding through the grass and the owl flapping its wings. You can hear the heartbeat of the land. And once you can hear that, you can control it. You can move with it and not against it. You can be the master of your own fate. but only if you stay quiet. So stay quiet and sleep. The empire is waiting for the dawn. You have the sand in your teeth and the heat in your blood, and you think you are ready to rule, but a king without a crown is just a man in a big hat, and a king without a crew is just a ghost waiting for a grave. You survived the empty places, where the water hides and the wind bites, but now you have to survive the people, and people are far more crooked than any trail. Through the Badlands, a mountain will never lie to you, and a river will never stab you in the ribs for a handful of silver. But a man will do it while he is laughing at your jokes. So you sit there and you listen, because the men you pick today will either build your throne, or they will be the ones who kick the crate out from under your feet when the law finally catches up. You need men who have nothing left to lose, because a man with a home and a wife and a dog is a man who will turn yellow when the lead starts flying. You want the ones who have been stripped bare by the world until all that is left is the bone and the anger. You go to the places where the sun doesn't shine and the law is afraid to walk. You look in the shadows of the border towns where the dust is thick and the talk is cheap. You find the man who is drinking alone, and not because he likes the taste of the whiskey, but because he is trying to drown a memory that won't stay under. You look at his hands. If they are scarred and the knuckles are thick like knots in an oak tree, you know he has fought for every inch of dirt he ever stood on. You look at his eyes. You don't want the man whose eyes are full of fire and noise. You want the man whose eyes are like two cold stones at the bottom of a well. That is the man who won't blink when the heavy iron is pointed at his chest. Finding them is the easy part. Any fool can find a desperate man in a dying town. The trick is knowing if he is a lion or a cur. You have to look at him when he doesn't know you are watching. You watch how he handles his horse. If he lets the beast go hungry while he fills his own belly, you leave him where he stands, because a man who won't care for his ride won't care for his brother. When the trail gets steep, you watch how he handles his liquor. A man who loses his head after 2 jars of the grain is a man who will spill your secrets to the first pretty girl who looks his way. You want a man who can hold his drink like he holds his tongue. You sit across from him and you tell him a story of a job that never happened. You tell him about a mountain of gold guarded by 100 soldiers, and you watch his face. If he gets wide-eyed and starts shaking with greed, you move on. Greed makes a man stupid, and stupid gets everyone killed. You want the man who just nods and asks how much the shells will cost. You want the man who looks at the risk before he looks at the reward. That is a man who will stay cool when the smoke is so thick you can't see your own hands. Once you have your eyes on a few of them, you have to test them, and you have to do it without them, knowing they are on the hook. A man who knows he is being watched will act like a saint, but a man who thinks he is alone will show you the devil in his heart. You take him on a long ride, and you pretend to fall asleep by the fire. You leave a heavy bag of silver right there on the dirt between you. You don't count it out loud, but you know exactly how many pieces are in there. You shut your eyes and you listen to the way the fire pops and the way the wind moves through the scrub. You listen for the sound of the leather bag moving or the soft clink of metal touching metal. If he reaches for it, you don't kill him right then. You wait until the morning, and you see if he hands it back or if he tries to hide the bulge in his pocket. If he tries to steal from you before the first job is done, you lead him out into the brush, and you make sure he never comes back. You don't need a thief in a den of thieves. You need a brother who understands that the only way we all get rich is if we all stay loyal. Another way to test a man is to give him a bit of fake news. You tell him you are planning to hit a certain wagon on a certain road, and then you wait to see if the law shows up. You watch the horizon, and you watch his movements. If he disappears for an hour in the middle of the night, you follow him. You see if he is meeting a man with a tin star or if he is just clearing his head. You can't build an empire on a foundation of sand, and you can't build a gang on a foundation of traitors. You have to be sure. You have to be so sure that you would bet your life on it, because that is exactly what you are doing every time you turn your back to them. You look at the way he treats the weak. If he is cruel to a dog or a beggar, he will be cruel to you when you are wounded. You want a man who has a code, even if that code is written in blood. When the money starts coming in, and it will, if you listen to me, you have to know how to split it. A man who feels cheated is a man who is already looking for a way to sell you out. You don't take the lion's share just because you are the one with the plan. You take enough to keep the horses shod and the guns oiled, and you give the rest away in equal parts. You show them that we all bleed the same and we all get paid the same. The weight of the gold should be a heavy burden that you all carry together. You stay in the dirt with them. You eat the same burnt meat and you drink the same muddy water. That is how you buy loyalty. You don't buy it with silver, you buy it with sweat and shared pain. If a man sees that his leader is just as hungry as he is, he will follow that leader into the mouth of hell. But before you hit the big banks and the gold trains, you have to get their hands dirty. You have to give them the taste of the life. You start small. You find a general store at a crossroads where the owner is old and the dog is lazy. You don't go in with guns blazing and shouting like a bunch of children. You move in quiet like the evening shadow. You take the flour and the beans and the few coins in the till. You watch your men. You see who gets nervous and starts sweating. You see who wants to kill the old man just for the fun of it. You stop the one who is too fast with the trigger. An outlaw who kills for no reason is a liability. He brings the kind of heat that doesn't go away. You want the kill to be a tool, not a hobby. You move out of there fast and you watch the way they handle the getaway. Do they stay in a line or do they scatter like chickens? You teach them to ride as one. You teach them that the rhythm of the hooves is the heartbeat of the gang. After the store, you find a lonely wagon. Maybe it is a family moving west, or maybe it is a merchant with a load of tools. You take what you need and you leave the rest. You don't leave witnesses if you can help it, but you don't make it a bloodbath if you don't have to. You are training them to be professional. You are training them to see the world as a place where things belong to the ones who are strong enough to take them. You watch the way they look at the people they are robbing. If they have pity in their eyes, they aren't ready. You need them to see the mark as an object and not a person. You need them to be cold. You need them to be as indifferent as the mountain. The first time a man sees the life leave another man's eyes, it changes him. It either breaks him or it makes him hard. You need the ones who get hard. You see them sitting by the fire after the first blood is spilled. The one who can still eat his dinner is the one you keep. The one who is shaking and looking at the dark is the one you get rid of. Now, you have to set the rules. A group of men without rules is just a mob, and a mob gets caught. The first rule is the whiskey. You don't drink while you're on the move. You drink when the job is done and the camp is secure and the sentries are posted. A drunk man can't hear the snap of a twig or the sound of a spur in the grass. You tell them if you find a bottle on them during a ride, you will pour it in the dirt, and then you will pour their blood right after it. The second rule is the women. You don't fight over them, and you don't let them into the camp. A woman is a tether to the world you're trying to leave behind. She has a father or a brother or a heart that can be broken, and a broken heart is a map that leads the law right to your door. If a man wants a girl, he goes to town on his own time, and he never mentions our name. The third rule is the internal fight. If two men have a grudge, they don't settle it with a knife in the dark. They bring it to you, and you settle it. You are the law in this empire. Your word is the final word, and if they don't like it, they can leave. But they leave with nothing but the clothes on their back. You have to keep them busy. Idle hands in an outlaw camp are hands that start reaching for their guns. You make them scout the roads, and you make them clean the horses. You make them practice with their irons until they can't hit a tin can from the back of a galloping horse. You build a rhythm. You wake up before the sun, and you are in the saddle while the mist is still on the ground. You move like the wind, and you stay in the high places. You teach them to read the signs of the trail. The way a broken branch means rider went through, or the way the dust stays in the air for 10 minutes after a wagon passes. You turn them into a part of the land. You want them to be able to disappear in a patch of sagebrush or a pile of rocks. Loyalty is a fine word, but it is a word that needs to be backed up by something stronger. It needs to be backed up by the knowledge that there is nowhere else to go. You make sure they know that the law has their names and their faces. You make sure they know that the only people in the whole world who won't hang them are the men sitting around this fire. You build a wall of shared guilt around them. Once you have killed a man together, you are tied with a knot that can't be untied. You are all in the same boat, and if it sinks, you all drown. You tell them stories of the men who tried to go straight and ended up swinging from a cottonwood tree. You show them that the only way to stay alive is to stay together and stay dangerous. The first time you take a life, it feels like the world is ending. The sound of the heavy iron is so loud it fills up your whole head, and the smell of the burnt powder stays in your nose for days. You see the way the body falls, like a sack of grain, and you realize how easy it is to break a man. You have to look at your men when this happens. You have to see if they are horrified or if they are excited. You want neither. You want a man who sees it as a chore, a man who sees it as a thing that had to be done so he could get to the next day. If a man likes killing too much, he will eventually kill you. If a man hates it too much, he will hesitate when it is your life on the line. Find the middle ground. Find the man who does what he is told and doesn't talk about it later. Splitting the money is an art. You have to be fair, but you also have to be smart. You keep a portion for the future. You call it the pot. The pot is for when a horse dies, or a gun breaks, or a man gets shot and needs a doctor who won't ask questions. You tell them that the pot belongs to the gang and not to you. It is their safety net. When they see that you are looking out for their future, they will trust you with their present. You show them the gold, and you let them feel the weight of it. You let them see the shine of the coins in the firelight. It reminds them why they are doing this. It reminds them that the cold nights and the bad water are worth it. Money is the fuel for your empire, and you have to keep the tank full as you grow. You have to watch out for the ones who want to challenge you. There is always one, a man who thinks he is faster or smarter or better looking. He will start by making jokes at your expense. Then he will start questioning your orders in front of the others. You don't let it fester like a wound. You cut it out. You don't have to kill him, but you have to break him. You challenge him to a test of skill, or you just pull him aside and remind him who gave him the boots on his feet. If he doesn't fold, you have to let him go, or you have to put him in the dirt. An empire cannot have two kings. It only leads to a civil war, and a civil war leads to a pile of bodies and a lot of empty pockets. The rules of the camp are the only things that keep you from becoming animals. You make them wash in the creeks, even when the water's ice cold. You make them mend their clothes. You keep them looking like men and not like monsters. When people see a group of clean, organized men, they are more afraid than when they see a bunch of ragged bandits. Organization is power. It shows that there is a mind behind the gun. It shows that this is not just a random act of violence, but a planned movement. You want the world to fear you, not just because you are mean, but because you are unstoppable. You have to learn the art of the getaway. Robbing the place is the easy part. Getting away with the loot is where most men fail. You plan your routes before you ever pull your gun. You know where the water is, and you know where the horses can rest. You use the terrain to your advantage. You ride through the water to hide your scent, and you ride over the rocks to hide your tracks. You use the shadows of the canyons to move in the middle of the day. You teach your men to be silent on the trail. No talking, no singing, no whistling. Just the sound of the breathing and the leather. The first time you hit a town of any size, you have to be fast. You don't stay for a drink, and you don't stay to talk to the locals. You get in, you take the gold, and you get out before the sheriff can even find his boots. You use the element of surprise. You hit them when they are at church or when they are at dinner. You hit them when the sun is in their eyes. You make the town feel like it was hit by a ghost, and then you disappear back into the hills. You let the rumors grow. You let them think you are 100 men instead of 5. Fear is better than any gun. If people think you are a devil, they will give you what you want just to make you go away. You have to be the one who stays calm when everything is going wrong. If a horse goes lame or a man gets caught, you are the one who makes the decision. You don't panic and you don't scream. You look at the situation and you find the way out. If you have to leave a man behind, you leave him. It is a hard truth, but the Survival of the gang is more important than the survival of any one man. You tell them this from the start. You tell them if I get shot, you leave me and you take the gold. It builds a sense of purpose. It shows that the empire is bigger than any of us. As you move through this second phase, you will feel the weight of the responsibility. It is a different kind of weight than the weight of a pack on your back. It is the weight of men's lives. You will see them looking at you when they are cold and hungry. They are looking for a sign that it is all going to be okay. You have to give them that sign even if you don't believe it yourself. You have to be the rock they lean on. You have to be the one who never shakes. You are building something that will last, and that requires a foundation of absolute certainty. The first blood you spill together will stain the ground, but it will also seal the deal. You look at the red in the dirt, and you realize there is no going back. The world of the honest man is closed to you now. The only world left is the one you create with your iron and your will. You look at your men, and you see the same realization in their eyes. You are outlaws. You are the lords of the dirt and the kings of the scrub. You are the start of an empire that will make the governors tremble and the rich men hide their gold in the floorboards. You keep the fire low tonight because the law is always looking for a light in the dark. You listen to the breathing of your men, and you know that you have done it. You have found them, you have tested them, and you have blooded them. Now you just have to lead them. You have to be the brain and the heart of this beast. You have to be the one who sees the trap before it snaps. You have to be the outlaw king. It is a long road ahead, and it is covered in dust and blood, but it is your road. No one can take it from you unless you let them. Now look at the gold in your hand. It is heavy, and it is cold, and it is beautiful. It is the proof that you were right. It is the proof that the world belongs to the ones who are brave enough to take it. You share it out tonight, and you see the smiles on their faces. That is the sound of loyalty being forged. That is the sound of an empire beginning to rise. You don't need a crown, boy. You have the gold, and you have the men, and you have the land. That is more than most kings ever have. Tomorrow, we move again. We find a bigger target, and we take a bigger risk. We build the legend one job at a time. We make the name of our gang a word that people whisper in the dark. We make the sound of our horses the sound of coming doom. But for now, you sleep. You sleep with your hand on your gun and your boots on your feet. The desert is still there, and the law is still there, but they are not the masters of the night anymore. You are. The outlaw empire is awake, and it is hungry, and the world is full of things to eat. You hear the coyote again? It is closer now. It knows there is meat in the camp. Let it come. Let the world know we are here. We are not hiding anymore. We are just waiting for the right moment to strike. You are the leader of the pack now. You lead the hunt. You choose the prey. You make the rules. And if anyone tries to stop, you show them why you are the one sitting in the light, and they are the ones dying in the dark. That is the way of the West, and that is the way of the empire. You see the moon. It is a thin sliver like a knife in the sky. It is a good sign. It means the night is on our side. The darkness is our home, and the shadow is our friend. You learn to love the dark because it is where you are strongest. You learn to move through it without making a sound. You turn your men into shadows. You turn your gang into a ghost that haunts the trails. You are the nightmare that the rich men have when they close their eyes. You are the reality that the law can't handle. So shut your eyes and let the fire go out. We don't need the light to see where we are going. We know the way. It is written in the dirt, and it is written in the blood. It is the path of the outlaw, and it leads to glory, or it leads to the rope. Either way, it is a hell of a ride, and I would rather die on a fast horse with a bag of gold than live 100 years behind a plow. You feel the same way, or you wouldn't be here. You are my kind of man, and this is our kind of world. Sleep well, king of the dirt. Tomorrow, the world gets a little smaller, and we get a little bigger. The outlaw empire is on the move, and nothing can stop us now. We are the storm, and we are the fire, and we are the end of the old ways. We are the new law of the land, and we write our laws with lead and steel. Remember that when you wake up. Remember who you are and what you are building, and never let them see you blink. The wind is dying down, and the night is quiet. It is the calm before the storm, and we are the storm. Get your rest. You are going to need it. The road is long, and the gold is heavy, but we are strong, and we are ready. The empire is waiting for the sun to come up, and so are we. The first chapter is over, and the second one is just beginning. And it is going to be a story that the world will never forget. The desert is cold now, but the fire in your heart is enough to keep you warm. You have the men, and you have the plan. Now, you just have to execute. You have to be the one who pulls the trigger. You have to be the one who makes the move. Don't hesitate, don't doubt, and don't look back. The past is dead, and the future is yours for the taking. Take it with both hands and never let go. The outlaw empire is here, and it is here to stay. You are the master of the Badlands now. The sand and the rock and the scrub are your subjects. The wind is your messenger, and the stars are your guides. You are the ghost of the frontier and the king of the outlaws. Live like it, breathe like it, die like it. That is the only way to be. That is the only way to survive. The empire is yours. Now go and claim it. The dawn is coming, and the world is waiting to be robbed. Be ready. Be quiet. Be deadly. That is the only way. That is the only truth. Sleep now and dream of the gold. Dream of the power. Dream of the empire. It is all coming true. One step at a time. One job at a time. One life at a time. The outlaw empire is born, and it is going to be magnificent. Go to sleep, boy. The morning is almost here, and we have work to do. Big work. Bloody work. The work of kings. You see your face on that paper, and you think you are a big man. But all I see is a target, and the ink is still wet on the bounty that says, you are worth more dead than alive. The law has stopped trying to bring you into a cage, and now they just want to see you rot in the dirt, because a dead man doesn't tell stories. And a dead man doesn't inspire the poor folks to rise up and take what belongs to the rich. The war is not coming. Boy, it is already here, and it is sitting right across from you by this low fire, and it is waiting to see if you have the stomach for the things you have to do to keep your head on your shoulders. You are the king of the outlaws now. And that means you are the primary aim of every man with a tin star, and every man with a long rifle and a hungry belly The first thing you have to learn is that the law is a beast that follows a path, and you are going to use that path to lead them right into the mouth of a grave. You find a canyon where the walls are high and the rocks are red, and the only way in is through a narrow gap where a man has to ride in a single line. You don't put your men at the end of the canyon like a bunch of fools waiting to be seen. You put them on the rim where the vultures sit. You hide them behind the scrub and the big stones, and you make them stay as still as the earth itself. You tell them to wait until every single rider is deep in the belly of the rock and the sun is hitting them right in the eyes. You don't give a signal with a shout or a whistle because a man can hear those things. You wait for the leader to reach the spot. You marked with a pile of white bones, and then you let the heavy iron do the talking. The sound of the first shot will roll through that canyon like the world is breaking in half, and the lawmen will scramble like ants in a kicked hill, but they will have nowhere to go. They will look up and see the smoke and the fire, but they won't see the men, and that is the last thing they will ever see before the lead finds them. An ambush is not a fight. It is a harvest, and you have to be the one who gathers the crop without blinking an eye once you have blooded them in the canyon. The law will get angry, and they will bring more men, and they will bring dogs, and they will bring scouts who can rid a broken blade of grass from a mile away. This is when you use the decoy. You don't just run away because they will catch you on the flat ground. You lead them on a dance. You take your horses and you ride them hard in one direction, toward the salt flats where the heat makes the air shimmer like a lake. You make sure you leave plenty of signs for them to find. You drop a bit of clothing or a spent shell or a half-eaten piece of meat. You want them to think you are tired and you are sloppy. You make your trail wide and messy so a blind man could follow it. Then you reach the edge of the hard rock where the hooves don't leave a mark, and you split your crew. You send 2 men with a string of extra horses to keep riding straight into the waste. You tell them to keep moving until the law is right on their heels, and then they scatter and hide in the caves while the law is chasing a couple of empty horses. You and the rest of your men double back on the hard ground. You walk your horses backward for a mile if you have to. You wrap their hooves in wet leather to dull the sound and hide the shape of the shoe. You disappear into the mountains while the law is baking in the sun out on the salt flats. When they realize they have been following a ghost, it will be too late. They will be out of water and their horses will be spent, and you will be sitting high up in the cool pines, watching them die of thirst. You have to be smarter than the man who is chasing you, and the easiest way to do that is to give him exactly what he thinks he wants until it kills him. But the law is not your only enemy in this war. There are other gangs out there who see your face on that poster, and they don't see a brother, they see a rival. They see the gold you have taken and the land you are standing on, and they want it for themselves. They think because you are being hunted by the law that you are weak and you are distracted. You have to show them that you are the meanest dog in the yard before they try to take a bite out of you. There was a man once named Black Bart who thought he could move into the valley while the sheriff was busy with a train robbery. He tried to talk sweet to the locals, and he tried to buy off the men who were supposed to be loyal to the leader. You don't talk to a man like that. You don't negotiate, and you don't make deals. You find where they are camping, and you wait for the moon to go behind a cloud. You move in like the evening mist. A rival gang is like a weed in your garden, and you have to pull it out by the roots, or it will just keep coming back. You don't just hit their sentries, you hit their heart. You find where the leader sleeps, and you make sure he never wakes up. You burn their supplies, and you take their horses, and you leave one man alive to go tell the rest of the world. What happens when you try to steal from the outlaw empire? You make the message so bloody and so clear that no one else will even think about crossing the line for 100 years. You are the only law that matters in these hills, and you have to prove it with lead and fire every single day. The art of the night raid is what separates the men from the boys in this game. A boy wants to ride in with a yell and a cloud of dust, but a man knows that silence is the best weapon he has. You hit a camp when the fires have burned down to red embers, and the men are wrapped in their blankets, thinking about their homes. You leave your horses a mile away, and you walk in on your own 2 feet. You remove your spurs, and you tie down your gear so nothing rattles. You move when the wind blows through the trees to cover the sound of your boots in the dry leaves. You don't use your guns at first, because a gun makes a noise that wakes up the whole world. You use the steel. You use a long blade that doesn't catch the light, and you move from shadow to shadow. You take out the men on the edge first, the ones who are supposed to be watching, but have fallen into a daze. You do it quick, and you do it quiet. By the time the rest of them realize there is a wolf in the fold, half of them are already gone to the long sleep. Then you use the fire. You throw a bit of oil on their tents, and you let the flames finish the job. A night raid is about confusion and panic. You want them to wake up in the middle of a nightmare and not know which way to run. You want them to be so scared of the dark that they will never close their eyes again as long as they live. That is how you win a war against men who think they are safe. You show them that there is no such thing as safety as long as you are under the same sky. You have to watch your own men too, because the war puts a pressure on a man that can make him snap like a dry twig. The law will start putting pressure on their families, or they will offer a pardon to the first man who brings in your head. You will see the change in them. They will start looking at the wanted poster, and then looking at you when they think you aren't watching. They will start whispering in the corners of the camp, and they will start acting nervous when a rider appears on the horizon. You can't let that rot spread. You have to be the one who keeps them together, and you do that by being the strongest thing they have ever seen. You don't show them your own fear, and you don't show them your own doubt. You tell them that the only way out of this is through the front door, and you are the one holding the key. You remind them of the gold, and you remind them of the things the law would do to them if they ever got caught. You make them feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves, and you make them feel like you are the only one who can protect them. But you also keep an eye on the one who is talking too much. If a man looks like he is going to break, you don't wait for him to do it. You take him aside and you remind him of the oath he took in the dirt. If that doesn't work, you make him an example. It sounds hard and it sounds cruel, but a war doesn't have room for a weak link. One man who talks can hang every single person in this camp, and you have to be willing to do the heavy work to make sure that doesn't happen. You are the father and the judge and the executioner, and you have to wear all those hats at the same time without losing your mind. The terrain is your best friend and your worst enemy, and you have to learn to use it like a tool. The mountains are not just big piles of rock. They are fortresses that the Lord built just for outlaws. You find the caves that have two ways out, and you never stay in the same one for more than a week. You learn the hidden paths that the goats use, and you learn how to ride your horse up a slope that looks like a wall. You use the rivers to hide your scent from the dogs, and you use the high passes to watch the valleys below. When the law comes into the mountains, they are out of their element. They are used to the flat roads and the towns where they can get a hot meal and a bed. Out here, they are lost, and they are cold, and they are hungry, and you use that to wear them down. You lead them into the thick brush, where they have to get off their horses, and you hit them from the shadows. You use the caves to store your extra supplies, and you use the mountain heights to signal your men with mirrors and smoke. The land is a part of you now, and you have to treat it with respect. If you know the land better than the law, you will never be caught. You can disappear in a patch of scrub or a crack in the rock and stay there for days while they ride right past you. The earth will hide you if you know how to ask it, and it will swallow your enemies if you know how to lead them. I remember a man named Three-Finger Jack who thought he could outrun the law on the open plains. He had the fastest horses and the best guns, but he didn't have the sense to stay in the hills. The law caught him in a big circle, and they just kept closing in until he had nowhere to go. They didn't even have to shoot him. They just waited for him to run out of shells and water. That is the fate of an outlaw who doesn't respect the war. You are not running. Boy, you are fighting a campaign, and every move you make has to be part of the big picture. You set your traps today so you can eat tomorrow. You use your decoys to buy time so you can hit the next target. You deal with your rivals so you don't have to worry about a knife in your back while you are dealing with the sheriff. It is all connected, like the strings on a guitar. And if you pull one, the whole thing vibrates. You have to be the one who knows which string to pull and when to pull it. The smell of the gun smoke is going to be in your hair, and the sound of the lead hitting the rocks is going to be in your ears, but you can't let it distract you. You stay focused on the win. You stay focused on the empire. The weight of the command is heavy, and it will make your shoulders ache more than any ride. You will see the faces of the men you lost in your dreams, and you will hear their voices in the wind. That is the price of the war. You can't be a leader and a friend at the same time. You have to be the one who sends men to their deaths so that the rest can live. You have to be the one who makes the hard choice when there are no good options left. You will feel the eyes of your men on you every minute of every day. They are looking for a sign of weakness, and if they find it, the whole thing will fall apart. You have to be made of iron and stone. You have to be as cold as the winter and as hard as the desert. You don't cry for the fallen, and you don't celebrate the wins. You just keep moving to the next objective. You keep the gold moving, and you keep the men moving, and you keep the war moving. As long as you are in motion, the law can't catch you. The moment you stop is the moment the rope starts to tighten. The night raid on the sheriff's camp was a thing of beauty when it happened 10 years ago. In the Panhandle, there was an outlaw who knew the sheriff was sleeping in a big tent in the middle of the woods. He didn't go in for the kill right away. He started by cutting the horses loose. He made a noise in the brush to get the guards looking the wrong way, and then he moved in like a snake. He didn't even use a knife. He just took the sheriff's own boots and his own gun, and he left a note on the pillow. That kind of thing does more damage than 100 bullets. It makes the law feel foolish, and it makes them look weak in front of their own men. You use psychology just as much as you use lead. You make them doubt themselves, and you make them doubt their leaders. You turn the people of the town against them by showing that the law can't even protect their own shoes. You build a legend of being everywhere at once and being impossible to kill. The more they fear you, the less they will want to fight you. A man who thinks he is fighting a ghost will drop his gun and run. The first time he hears a leaf snap, you keep your men busy with the work of the war. You have them scouting the roads, and you have them building hidden corrals for the horses. You keep them sharp, and you keep them lean. You don't let them sit around and think about what they have lost. You keep them focused on what they are going to gain. An outlaw empire is built on the blood of its enemies and the sweat of its men. You are the architect, and you have to make sure the building is strong. The pressure from the law is going to get worse before it gets better. They will start burning the houses of anyone they think is helping you. They will start arresting anyone who even mentions your name. You use that too. You show the people that the law is the real monster, and you are the only one who is standing up for them. You become a hero to the poor and a nightmare to the rich. You give a little bit of your gold to the widow down the road, and you help the farmer whose barn was burned. You build a network of eyes and ears that will tell you every move the law makes before they even make it. You turn the whole territory into your own personal army, and then the law has no place to hide. It is a long game, and you have to have the patience of a mountain. The law wants a quick win so they can go back to their families and their warm beds. But you have nowhere else to go. You are the Lord of the waste and the master of the scrub. You can stay out here forever, and they can't. You wait for them to get tired, and you wait for them to get bored. You wait for the government to stop sending money, and you wait for the people to stop caring. You outlast them. That is how you win a war against a machine. You jam the gears with your own blood, and you wait for the whole thing to grind to a halt. And while they are trying to fix it, you hit them again and again until there is nothing left. You are the fire that never goes out and the wind that never stops blowing. You are the outlaw empire, and you are going to last as long as there is dirt on the ground and lead in the air. The caves you found in the high mountains are perfect for what we need. They are cold and they are damp, but they are safe. You have to stock them with enough grain and salt to last a year. You have to make sure the water is clean and the horses have enough room to breathe. You turn those caves into a city of the shadows. You have your own blacksmith and your own doctor and your own rules. When the law looks up at those mountains, they will see nothing but rock and snow. But you will be up there looking down on them and laughing. You will be the ghost in the machine and the shadow on the trail. You use the rivers to send messages, and you use the caves to hide your gold. You build a life that is completely separate from the world of the honest man, and you make it a life that is worth living. You show your men that they don't need the town, and they don't need the law. They have everything they need right here in the empire. The rival gang that tried to move in on the south end of the valley is gone now, and their horses are in your corral. That is how you handle competition. You don't leave anything to chance, and you don't leave any room for mercy. Mercy is a word for people who have nothing to lose, but you have everything to lose. You have to be the one who takes the final step, and you have to be the one who carries the weight of it. The sound of the canyon ambush is still ringing in your ears, and that is a good thing. It reminds you of what you are capable of, and it reminds you of the price of failure. Failure is a rope and a long drop and a short, sudden stop. You remember that every time you pull the trigger and every time you give an order. You are the leader, because you are the one who is willing to do the things that no one else will do. You are the one who is willing to walk through the fire to get to the gold. The night is coming on again, and the wind is picking up, and it is time to move the camp. You never stay in the same place for 2 nights in a row when the law is this close. You wake the men up, and you make them douse the fire with dirt. You check the girths on the saddles, and you check the shells in the belts. You move out in a line, and you don't say a word. The only sound is the breathing of the horses and the soft creak of the leather. You are a shadow moving through a shadow world, and that is exactly where you belong. The law is out there somewhere, but they are looking for a man, and you are not a man anymore. You are a legend and a ghost and a king. You are the outlaw empire, and the war is just beginning. You have your men, and you have your guns, and you have your land. Now you just have to keep them. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and your hand on your iron, and your mind on the plan. Don't let the noise of the world get in your head, and don't let the fear of the rope get in your heart. You are the master of your own destiny, and you are the one who writes the story. Make it a story that will make the children shiver and the men drink. Make it a story of power and freedom and the red dirt of the West. The sun is going down and the moon is coming up, and the war is waiting for you. Go out there and show them what an outlaw can do when he has nothing left to lose but the empire he built with his own 2 hands. Stay hard, stay quiet, and stay deadly. The world is yours if you have the grit to take it. You see that light in the distance. That is a town where people are sleeping and dreaming of a world that is safe and predictable. They don't know that the storm is coming, and they don't know that you are the storm. Let them sleep We have work to do in the dark. We have trails to blaze and traps to set and gold to take. We are the ones who live in the gaps between the lines, and we are the ones who make the rules. The outlaw empire is awake, and it is hungry, and it is ready for the next move. Don't look back, boy. The past is a ghost, and it can't help you now. Only the future matters, and the future is whatever we make it. Let the law ride, and let the rivals talk. We will be the ones who are still standing when the dust clears. We are the kings of the dirt and the lords of the lead, and this is our world. Now ride out and don't stop until you reach the high ground. The air is thin up there, but it is pure and it is ours. The stars are your only map, and the wind is your only guide. Keep your head down and your spirits up, and never forget who you are. You are the man they couldn't catch, and the man they couldn't kill. You are the wanted man, and you are the leader of the pack. The war is yours to win or lose, and I have a feeling you are going to be the one who comes out on top. Just remember what I told you and keep your powder dry. The empire is waiting for its next chapter, and it is going to be a bloody one. Go now, before the light finds you. The darkness is your friend, and it is time to go home. The mountain is waiting, and the cave is ready, and the gold is safe. You are the outlaw king, and this is your kingdom. Live like it and die like it, and never let anyone tell you any different. The war is started, and the only way to end it is to be the only one left standing. Be that man. Be the outlaw empire. The world is watching, and it is terrified, and that is exactly how it should be. Good luck, boy. You are going to need it, and you are going to use it. Now move. You are standing on the hill, and the town is sitting down there in the valley, like a bowl of soup, waiting for a hungry man to pick up the spoon. You have the dust of 1,000 miles on your boots, and the blood of 100 men on your hands, and now you are ready to stop being a ghost and start being a god. When you walk down that main street, you do not go in with your guns out, and you do not go in screaming like a wild animal. You go in slow, and you go in quiet. You want them to feel the weight of you before they even see your face. You want the air to get heavy and the birds to stop singing, because they know something has changed in the world. You walk right down the middle of the road where the horses go, and you keep your head up and your eyes steady. You look at the men on the porches, and you look at the women in the windows, and you let them see that you are not afraid of them, and you are not interested in their tiny lives. You are the new owner of the dirt they stand on and the air they breathe, and you make them know it by the way you put one foot in front of the other. The sound of your boots on the wood of the boardwalk should be the only thing they hear, and it should sound like the ticking of a clock that is running out of time for everyone but you. When you reach the center of town, you stop and you just stand there. You let the people come out of their shops, and you let the children hide behind their mothers, and you let the whole world hold its breath. You don't say a word until the silence is so heavy it feels like it might break the buildings, and then you just nod. That is how you take control. You don't take it with a bang. You take it with a presence. You make them realize that the law they used to know is gone, and the new law has arrived. and it is wearing your hat, and it is carrying your steel. Now you have to go to the office with the star on the door. The man inside is going to be sweating, and he is going to be shaking, and he is going to be wondering if he is going to die today. He has heard the stories of the war, and he knows what you did to the men who tried to stop you. You don't kill him. A dead sheriff is a problem that brings more law from the city, but a bought sheriff is a tool that keeps the world quiet. You walk into his office and you sit down in his chair and you put your feet on his desk. You don't look at him at first. You just look at the star on his chest and you let him see that you think it is a toy. Then you look him in the eye and you tell him that the world has changed. You tell him that he still has his job and he still has his star and he still has his pay, but now he has a new boss. You tell him that his job is no longer to catch the bad men. His job is to make sure that the people who pay us stay safe and the people who don't pay us find a new place to live or a hole in the ground. You do the same with the man in the black robe, the judge who thinks he is the voice of right and wrong. You find out what he wants. Maybe he wants a new house, or maybe he wants a woman who isn't his wife, or maybe he just wants a big pile of gold to look at while he eats his dinner. You give him whatever he wants. You turn the law into a thing that you can fold up and put in your pocket. You make it so that if one of your men gets into trouble, the sheriff looks the other way and the judge finds a reason to let him go. You make the law your shield and your wall. And once the people see that the law works for you, they will stop trying to fight you. They will realize that there is no one left to call for help. And that is when they will truly belong to you. Once you have the law in your hand, you have to start taking the cut. You didn't do all this work just to have a nice place to sleep. You did it to get rich, and you are going to get very rich. You go to the saloon, where the air is thick with the smell of cheap grain and old smoke, and you tell the man behind the bar that you are his new partner. You don't ask him, you tell him. You take a dime for every dollar he makes, and in return, you make sure that no one breaks his chairs, and no one starts a fight that he can't win. You go to the man who sells the flour and the beans, and you tell him the same thing. You go to the man who runs the bank, and you tell him that his vault is now your vault. You don't take it all at once because you aren't a thief. You're a king. A thief takes everything and leaves the people to starve, but a king takes just enough to keep the machine running and just enough to make sure he is the biggest man in the room. You take a piece of every dollar that moves through that town, every drink that is poured, and every loaf of bread that is sold, and every horse that is shod pays a little bit of tribute to the outlaw empire. You make the people think that they are paying for their own peace. You make them feel like the money they give you is the reason they can sleep at night without worrying about a fire or a raid. You become the invisible hand that moves the coins from their pockets to yours, and you do it with a smile and a tip of your hat. When a man sees his life getting easier and his town getting quieter, he will stop hating the man who is taking his money, and he will start thanking him. You make them love the cage you put them in by making the cage comfortable. But then there are the clean people. There are always clean people. They come in with their high collars and their books and their songs, and they think they can fix the world. They think that if they can just get the people to pray enough and wash their faces enough, they will stop needing a man like you. They see the saloon as a pit of sin, and they see you as the devil himself. You don't fight them with lid unless you absolutely have to. If you kill a preacher, you make him a hero, and a hero is a dangerous thing. Instead, you fight them with the truth of the world. You show the people that the clean man has no food for their bellies when the winter comes, and no wood for their fires when the snow falls. You show them that the preacher is just talking about a world that doesn't exist while you are giving them the world they are standing in right now. And if the clean man gets too loud and starts making trouble, you find his secret. Every man has a dark corner in his heart, and you find the one in his. Maybe he likes the bottle more than he says, or maybe he has a weakness for the cards, or maybe he has a history that he left behind in another town. You don't tell the whole town his secret. You just tell him. You sit him down in a quiet room and you let him see that you know exactly what he is. You make him your friend. A preacher who works for an outlaw is the best weapon you can have, because he can stand in his big wooden box on Sunday and tell the people that you are a man of God and that the order you bring is a blessing. You turn the light into a shadow, and you use it to hide your work, and when the clean people see that their leader is on your side, they will fold up their flags and go home. Now we have to talk about your men. They have been through the fire with you, and they have the scars to prove it, but now they have beds with white sheets and whiskey that doesn't taste like dirt and women who don't smell like horses. They are going to get soft. A man who has a full belly and a warm bed starts to lose his edge. He starts to think that he doesn't need to check his gun, and he starts to think that he can sleep through the night without keeping an ear on the wind. You can't let them get soft. You have to keep them on their toes. You send them out on long rides into the hills just to keep the calluses on their hands. You make them practice with their irons every single day until the sound of the shots is like the beating of their own hearts. You remind them that the only reason they have the soft bed is because you are the one holding the door shut against the world. You don't let them get too friendly with the town folks. You keep them separate. You make them feel like they are still a pack of wolves, and the town is just the sheep. You give them enough gold to keep them happy, but you never give them enough to make them think they can go off on their own. You are the father and the provider, and the one who keeps the rope away, and as long as they know that they will stay loyal, the moment one of them starts to think he is as big as you have to handle it. You don't have to kill him if you don't want to, but you have to break him. You have to show the rest of them that there is only one king in this empire, and his name is yours. You keep the discipline tight, and you keep the fear fresh, and your walls will never crumble from the inside. I remember a town called Golden Creek where a man tried to do what you are doing. He took the town and he bought the law, but then he got lazy. He started spending all his time in the big house, and he stopped watching the streets. He let his men do whatever they wanted, and they started hurting the people for no reason. They started taking things that didn't belong to them, and they started making the people angry. And when people get angry enough, they stop being afraid. One night, the people rose up with their pitchforks and their torches, and they burned that big house to the ground with the man still inside. You don't let that happen. You stay visible. You walk the streets every day. You tip your hat to the old ladies, and you give a coin to the children. You make sure the people know that you are the one who keeps the peace, and you make sure your men know that if they cross the line, you will be the one to punish them. You are the balance. You are the one who stands between the people and the chaos, and as long as you play that part, the people will let you take whatever you want. You have to be the beast that protects the flock from the other beasts. You have to be the one they are afraid of, but also the one they can't live without. As the years go by, you are going to see the world change around you. The wire fences are going to go up, and the big iron horses are going to bring more and more people from the east. They are going to try to bring their laws and their rules and their ways of doing things. They are going to look at a man like you and see a relic of a time that is passing. You don't fight the change, you use it. You buy the land where the tracks are going to go. You use your money to buy the people who make the decisions in the big cities. You turn your outlaw empire into a business. You trade your gun for a pen, but you keep the gun in the drawer just in case. You become the man who owns the things that the new world needs. You become the man who owns the water and the wood and the stone. You move from the shadows into the light, but you keep the shadow in your heart. You show the people that you are a leader of the new way, while you are still using the old ways to keep your power. You make yourself so important to the territory that they can't get rid of you. You become a part of the history of the land. You have to think about the legacy you are leaving behind. A man like us doesn't usually get to see his grandchildren grow up. We usually end up as a pile of bones in a place that no one remembers. But you have built something big and you want it to last. You build a school and you put your name on the front of it. You build a church with a big bell that rings every morning. You build a park where the people can sit and enjoy the sun. You make sure that every time someone looks around this town, they see your name. You make them forget the blood that was spilled to get here. You make them forget the fires and the raids and the men who died in the dirt. You turn your story into a legend. You hire a man to write a book about your life, but you make sure he leaves out the parts that don't look good. You make yourself into a hero of the frontier. You make yourself the man who tamed the wild and brought order to the waste. You make sure that 100 years from now, the children will be learning about you in their classrooms, and they will be saying your name with respect. You build a name that is written in stone and iron and gold. The smell of an expensive cigar is a fine thing, boy. It smells like success, and it smells like power. It is a long way from the smell of the damp earth in a cave or the smell of the horse sweat on a long ride. You sit in your big chair, in your big house, and you look out the window at the town that belongs to you, and you feel the weight of it. It is a heavy weight, but it is a good weight. It is the weight of being the master of your own destiny. You listen to the sound of the town waking up. You hear the sound of the doors opening, and the sound of the horses, and the sound of the people talking. And you know that every bit of it is happening because you allow it. You are the king of the dirt and the lord of the lead and the master of the empire. You have won the war, and now you are winning the peace. It is a different kind of fight, but it is a fight you were born for. You have the grit, and you have the mind, and you have the will to hold on to it, all until the day you die. And when that day comes, you make sure it happens on your own terms. You pick a man who is just like you were when you started. A man with fire in his belly and ice in his veins and a mind that can see a trap a mile away. You show him everything. You show him the deals you made with the sheriff and the judge. You show him the ledger where you keep the cut of the money. You show him where the bodies are buried, and you show him how to keep the men in line. You pass the crown to him, and you make sure he knows that the empire is bigger than he is. You die in your bed with the sun on your face and your family around you, and you go out like a man who has done exactly what he set out to do. You leave behind a name that will be whispered in the saloons and shouted in the halls of power for a long time. You leave behind a world that you made with your own 2 hands. That is the final victory. That is the end of the story. You see the sun is coming up over the mountains now, and the first light is hitting the dust of the main street. It is time to go down there. Put on your best coat and your cleanest hat. Check your gun one last time, not because you expect to use it, but because it is a part of who you are. Walk down that hill and walk into your town. Feel the fear and the respect and the power that is waiting for you. You are the outlaw king, and the world is yours. Don't look back at the desert, and don't look back at the war. They are the past, and you are the future. Go down there and take your seat on the throne of the dirt. Show them what a man can do when he refuses to be broken. Show them what the outlaw empire really is. It is not just a gang, and it is not just a war. It is a new way of living in a hard land. It is the dream of the man who is willing to go further than anyone else. Go now, boy. The town is waiting, and the empire is ready. The story is finished, and the legend is just beginning. You are the master of the West, and the lord of all you see. Let them hear your boots on the walk. Let them see the look in your eyes. Let them know that you are home. The sound of the morning is growing louder now. The town is alive, and it is moving, and it is yours. You can smell the wood smoke, and you can hear the birds, and you can feel the heat of the coming day. It is a good day to be a king. It is a good day to be an outlaw. It is a good day to be alive. You have earned every bit of it, and you are going to enjoy every bit of it. You have built something that no one can take away from you. You have turned the waste into a kingdom and the sand into gold. You are the Alpha and the Omega of this territory. Now go down there and rule. Go down there and live. Go down there and be the man you were always meant to be. The outlaw empire is here, and it is yours forever. Keep your head high and your hand steady and your heart cold. The world is at your feet, and that is exactly where it belongs. Go now, take it all. Don't leave a single scrap for anyone else. It is all yours. Every street, every house, every soul. You are the outlaw king. Go and claim your crown. You walk past the bank and you see the man in the suit through the glass. He sees you and he bows his head. You walk past the saloon and the music stops for a second before it starts again in a different tune. You walk past the sheriff and he tips his hat and looks at the ground. You reach the big house on the hill and you turn around and you look at it all. The smoke from the chimneys, the horses in the street, the people in the shops. It is a beautiful sight. It is the sight of success. You have done it. You have won. Now sit down in your chair and light your cigar and let the world turn around you. You are the center of it all. You are the sun and the moon and the stars of this town. You are the outlaw empire, and this is your legacy. Live it well. Die hard. Leave a name that never dies. That is the only truth in this life. That is the only thing that matters. The rest is just wind and dust. But you are stone and iron. You are the king, and you are here to stay. The town is quiet now as you sit on your porch and watch the evening come. The shadows are long and the air is cool. You see the lights coming on in the windows one by one. Those lights are your people. Those lights are your power. You feel the peace of a man who has finished his work. You have no more wars to fight and no more trails to blaze. You have found your home and you have made it your own. You are the lord of the Badlands and the master of the scrub. You are the man who survived the desert and the man who won the town. You are the outlaw empire, and you are finally at rest. But even in your rest, you are the most dangerous man in the world, because you have something to lose now, and you will kill anyone who tries to take it. That is the final lesson. A man with something to lose is the one you should fear the most, and you have everything. So let them come. Let the law and the rivals and the clean people try their luck. You will be here waiting for them in the shadows of your own making. You are the king, and you are not going anywhere. The legend is complete. The story is told. The empire is built. Go to sleep now, king of the dirt. The morning will be here soon, and you have a town to run. But for tonight, just listen to the wind. It is saying your name, and it will be saying it for a long, long time.